You've been lied to repeatedly by dealerships and car manufacturers. That is why most cars never reach 100,000 miles. Today, I'm sharing 17 brutally honest tricks that can help your car surpass the 300,000 mile mark. We're debunking a web of lies and sharing tips that make greedy mechanics mad. Watch until the end because the last trick literally takes a second, but it will save you $5,000 in repairs. Let's dive in. Trick number 17. Stick to the 3K oil rule. Do you follow the manufacturer's oil change interval? Then you're killing your engine, slowly, silently, and avoidably. I've opened up engines that followed the dealer's recommended 10,000 to 15,000 mile schedule, and what did I find? Thick black sludge baked onto every surface like burnt lasagna. Pistons cooked, cams scarred, oil passages clogged. If you don't want your car to end up in a junkyard, stop following the regular service schedule. The truth is that the number is designed to get the car past the 100,000 warranty, not to make it last to 300,000. Especially in real-world driving, short trips, stop-and-go traffic, hard startups, your oil is breaking down way before 7,500 miles. My shop rule is, change your oil every 3,000 miles with non-synthetic or 5,000 to 7,000 with full synthetic oil. It costs a bit more, but $40 now beats $4,000 for a rebuild later. However, fresh oil won't save you if you're abusing your engine every morning. Here's what I mean. Trick number 16. Drive slowly, don't idle. You think idling for 10 to 15 minutes warms up your engine? That's not warming, it's slow death. I've torn down engines where the oil was so fuel contaminated, it poured out like black water. Cylinder walls scored, compression lost, all from sitting too long every morning. Here's what's really happening. After 30 seconds, unburned fuel starts washing down your cylinder walls. That fuel strips the protective oil film and thins it out, turning your $40 synthetic into worthless sludge. Want your engine to live past 250,000 miles and beyond? Start the car, wait 30 seconds, then drive gently for 2 miles. That warms the engine faster, prevents fuel dilution, and protects critical components. Oil temperature rises 8 times faster while driving than when idling. Real protection happens on the move, not in your driveway. This method will also save you a lot of fuel, especially if you haven't learnt the next trick yet. Trick number 15. Stop after the pump clicks. That extra click after the pump shuts off? Yeah, that's not getting your money's worth. That's flooding your emission system with raw fuel. I've replaced dozens of charcoal canisters soaked and ruined by people topping off their tanks. Those parts aren't cheap. $350 to $900 repair, just to fix what one more squeeze caused. Your gas tank needs airspace to vent vapors into the evap system. Overfill it, and you're forcing liquid fuel into vapor lines, killing sensors, clogging valves, and choking the canister. I've seen gas pouring out of vent lines like someone popped a fuel balloon. Want your car to last? When the pump clicks, walk away. Every overfill shortens your evap system's lifespan. And let me tell you, those repairs are not cheap. Now that we've saved your evap, it's time to revive your dying transmission. Trick number 14. Don't follow the transmission fluid myth. Most drivers ignore their transmission until it starts slipping. By then, too late. You're not fixing a problem, you're replacing a $4,000 chunk of metal. Unlike engine oil, transmission fluid doesn't get topped off. It's sealed in and quietly breaking down mile after mile. And here's the trap. It still looks fine. Red, no burnt smell. But by 60,000 miles, it's hiding a cocktail of clutch dust, metal shavings, and varnish. It's basically liquid sandpaper grinding through your gears. If you wait for symptoms, you've already done the damage. Drain and fill every 60,000 miles or 6 years, whichever comes first. For hybrids, you can stretch it to 90,000, but don't gamble. I've seen rebuilds run $3,000 to $7,500, depending on the make. However, there is one exception. Never flush an old, neglected transmission. You'll wash out the sludge that's barely holding it together. If it's been maintained, flush it. If not, just drain. And always use OEM fluid. Toyota WS for Toyotas, Honda ATF DW1 for Hondas, Mopar ATF +4 for Chryslers. Later in the video, I'll share another trick that will make your transmission run like new. But first, let's deal with another habit that's draining your wallet. Trick number 13. Coast early to save brakes. Slamming brakes isn't sporty. It's a $900 tax for lazy driving. Every panic stop hits your rotors with 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit heat spikes. Warped rotors, glazed pads, and boiling brake fluid are the price of treating every stoplight like a finish line. Want your brakes to last? Ease off early, coast into stops, and use engine braking when heading downhill. This simple shift in driving style can double the lifespan of your rotors and pads and save you hundreds per axle. And when it's time to replace parts, go quality. Driving a Subaru? Use Akebono or genuine Subaru pads. Got a Toyota? Stick with Advikes or OEM. Cheap pads chew through rotors and squeal like a banshee. Pay now or pay more later. Now let's tackle a trick that most drivers never think about, but your engine desperately needs. Trick number 12. Flush coolant before it warps. Did you know that modern aluminum heads warp at 230 degrees Fahrenheit? That means your engine could die if it overheats just once. One Tacoma driver ignored his temperature gauge for 8 minutes. The result was a blown head gasket. The repair bill? $3,800. Survival rule: if the needle hits red, pull over immediately and shut the engine off. Don't try to make it home. Praying won't help. Instead, call a flatbed. If you want your engine to live longer, flush the coolant every 3 to 5 years, depending on the type. Check the level monthly. And never mix coolant colors. Red, green, yellow, clear, they are not the same. Use exactly what your manufacturer recommends in this one. Using the wrong coolant can corrode your system, damage gaskets, and turn your radiator into a science experiment. Because once that engine overheats, it's not just a gasket, it's game over. And hey, if this kind of no-nonsense car advice is helping you catch problems before they blow up your wallet, hit that subscribe button. Trick number 11. Check coolant leaks. If you're adding coolant every week, you're not maintaining your car. You're babysitting a slow death. Some drivers top off for months while a silent head gasket leak turned their engine into scrap metal. Coolant doesn't evaporate. If it's low, it's leaking somewhere. Maybe it's a cracked radiator, a worn hose, or a water pump on its last leg. Sometimes it's hidden, like a failing heater core quietly soaking your floor mats, or a tiny head gasket leak steaming out the exhaust. And don't assume you'd see it. Some leaks only show under pressure or when hot. That's why you pressure test the system. Cold engine, pump to spec, watch for a drop. That's how you catch the killer before it strikes. Top it off blindly, and you're just buying time, not safety. And while we're talking silent killers, stop treating your SUV like a dump truck. Trick number 10. Dump the junk. Your SUV isn't a dump truck, and every extra 100 pounds you haul adds 1,000 pounds of stress during a hard stop. My shop has replaced sagging springs, blown shocks, and bent control arms on vehicles that were never designed to carry half the junk people cram into them. One customer loaded his crossover with 800 pounds of tools for a weekend gig. 2 months later, rear shocks blown, tires scalloped, alignment toast. That free job cost him $1,400 in suspension repairs, and he still needed new tires. Check your gross vehicle weight rating. It's in your door jamb. Subtract the curb weight, and that's your real payload. And don't forget, passengers count too. 4 adults and luggage, you're probably already maxed out. Want your suspension to last? Travel light. Don't carry what you don't need. Overloading doesn't just wreck ride quality, it ruins your car from the ground up. And when your suspension starts groaning under all that extra weight, don't ignore it, because that brings us to the next trick, one that could save you from a total breakdown. Trick number 9, catch weird sounds early. Ticking, clunking, whining, squealing. If your car sounds like it's auditioning for a horror movie, don't mute it with the radio. That sound is the warning. Every strange noise is your car begging for help before something fails completely. I just wonder how some of you can hear sounds and just ignore them. You don't love your car, that's all I can say. A simple $40 belt squeal can turn into a $1,200 alternator failure. A faint clunk? That was a bad CV joint that eventually snapped and took the axle with it. One customer ignored a ticking sound for months. It turned out to be low oil, starving the lifters. He learned the hard way with a full engine teardown. Here's the trick. Track the sound. Where, when, cold, or hot, speed, or bumps. Then get it checked. Early fixes are cheap. Ignored ones will wreck your ride. And speaking of wrecking your ride, automatic drivers, relax. This next one's for the stick shift heroes and your $1,200 clutch jobs. Trick number 8, stop riding the clutch. Resting your foot on the clutch pedal might feel harmless, but it's burning your clutch plate to dust with every mile. A clutch can be roasted at just 40,000 miles because the driver couldn't keep their foot off the pedal. That's a $1,500 repair for one lazy habit. Here's what's happening. Even light pressure keeps the clutch partially engaged. That creates heat, wears the friction disc, and scorches the flywheel. Every time you coast with the pedal halfway down, you're shaving life off your transmission, one stoplight at a time. Want your clutch to last? Foot off the pedal unless you're shifting. At red lights, shift to neutral. On hills, use the handbrake, not the clutch, to hold position. Do that, and you'll triple your clutch life. But even if you drive automatic, there's one bad habit nearly everyone's guilty of, and it's slowly destroying your fuel pump from the inside out. But I have the solution. Trick number 7, follow the quarter tank rule. I get it, gas prices are brutal. Sometimes you're just trying to make it to payday, but running on fumes isn't just risky, it's lethal to your fuel system. Your fuel pump relies on gasoline to stay cool and lubricated. When your tank runs near empty, the pump sucks in hot air instead of fuel. Over time, that overheats the pump, dries out the seals, and burns it out from the inside. I've replaced fuel pumps with less than 80,000 miles, $600 down the drain, just because the driver kept pushing it. And that's not all. Low fuel also stirs up sediment that settles at the bottom of your tank. That gunk gets sucked into the filter and injectors, causing rough idling, poor acceleration, and, eventually, engine damage. Can't fill up? Fine, but try to keep at least a quarter tank at all times. It's not about keeping the tank full, it's about keeping your car alive. And if saving fuel is part of the reason you're running low in the first place, do yourself a favor. Watch this. 9 fuel myths stupid people fall for. I break down the gas-saving lies that waste your money and wreck your car. Trick number 6, upgrade to quality plugs. Spark plugs are cheap, engines aren't. I've pulled plugs so worn they barely sparked at all. Electrodes eroded to stumps. The damage? Burned coils, melted pistons, detonated combustion. I once tore down a 2.5-liter Altima engine that had failed due to the plugs reaching their service life of 40,000 miles. The owner thought the 100K mile Iridiums were set it and forget it. They weren't. Sure, Iridium plugs can last 100,000, but that's under perfect conditions. Real world. Start checking at 60,000 miles, especially on direct injection engines where fouling builds quickly. Misfires, sluggish starts, rough idle, fried cats, all of it can start with $60 worth of neglected spark plugs. Want your engine to last? Stick with quality. NGK Iridium iX or Laser Iridium. These are ideal for Hondas, Toyotas, and Nissans. Denso Iridium TT, great for Japanese imports and hybrids. Bosch, Double Iridium, excellent for European models. Motorcraft or AC Delco OEMs never go aftermarket on Fords or GMs. I've seen engines last 300,000 miles with fresh plugs every 70,000, and I've seen engines die at 130,000 from knockoff junk installed at a quick lube shop. Trick number 5, do the engine mount death test. Broken mounts don't vibrate. They hammer your frame at 2,000 beats per minute. I'm speaking from experience here. I ignored the subtle thump for weeks. Thought it was an exhaust rattle or maybe just character? Nope. One morning, I fired it up, dropped into gear, and the whole dash shuddered like a jackhammer. Turned out the front mount had split clean in half. Luckily, I caught it before it cracked the exhaust manifold, but it almost did. Engine mounts don't fail loud, they fail sneaky. You won't see it until the drivetrain's lurching, the steering wheel shakes at idle, or your gear shifts feel like you've been rear-ended. And by then, damage is spreading fast. Torquing axles, stressing transmission mounts, bending brackets. Want to catch it early? Do the death test. Foot on the brake, shift into drive, and rev to 2,000 RPM. If your engine jumps more than 1 inch, that's not just a little movement, that's metal on metal. Replace the mounts now. Use quality OEM or heavy-duty aftermarket ones like Anchor for solid budget OEM replacement, DEA or Westar, decent for daily drivers. Rain Automotive, good for European cars. Torque Solution or innovative mounts if you're modded or just want it bulletproof. Trick number 4, rinse the undercarriage. Washing just the paint? That's vanity. Skipping the undercarriage? That's vehicular suicide. I've scraped through frames so rusted you could punch a hole in them with a screwdriver. Brake lines eaten alive. Fuel tanks leaking like sieves. You know what they all had in common? Owners who never rinsed the bottom. You think rust takes years? Wrong. One winter of salted roads can kickstart a corrosion cancer that spreads for life. I once dropped a 2012 F-150 on the lift. Clean on top, but the control arms looked like crusty breadsticks. Rear brake line snapped while the guy was towing. Nearly cost him his life. The fix is to use a high-pressure hose or go to a car wash with undercarriage spray. Do it monthly in winter or weekly if you're in a snow country. And don't skip rainy season either. All that road grime traps moisture. You're not just cleaning, you're fighting for the structural health of your vehicle. The next trick, it's one I've personally fired people over. Trick number 3, question every urgent repair. You walk into the dealership for an oil change. You walk out with a $1,480 estimate and a panic attack. I've been on the inside. I've sat in meetings where service writers were trained to upsell fuel injector cleanings, brake flushes, and multi-point inspections that magically always find $600 in urgent repairs. One guy tried to push a throttle body cleaning on a brand new Corolla. I fired him on the spot. Here's the truth. They're not paid to protect your car. They're paid to hit monthly quotas. You don't need a $400 fuel system flush at 30,000 miles. You don't need spark plugs re-gapped on iridium tips. And if they say your brake fluid is black, ask to see it. 9 times out of 10, it's fine. Want to protect yourself? Get a second opinion from an independent shop, or better yet, a mobile mechanic who doesn't have quotas. Ask for photos of the issue. Ask for the spec that justifies it, because trusting blindly is how you donate to the dealership's Christmas party fund. Trick number 2, scrub battery terminals regularly. Corroded battery terminals are silent killers. Your car doesn't care if it's brand new. If those terminals are caked in white crust, your starter's suffocating, your alternator's overworked, and your electronics are on life support. Cars are towed in with no start complaints that were fixed with a $5 wire brush and 10 minutes of cleaning. One lady almost dropped $900 on a new starter until I showed her the half-inch of battery corrosion choking her terminals like cancer. Here's what I do in my shop. Every 3 to 4 months, pop the hood. Look at the battery. If you see fuzz, clean it. Use a mix of baking soda and water or a dedicated terminal cleaner. Then coat the posts with dielectric grease or terminal protector spray. That stops keeps corrosion cold. Oh, and don't yank the battery cables without checking your radio code or memory settings. Some cars hate being unplugged. Now, let's wrap this up with one final trick that almost nobody talks about, but it saved more engines in my shop than anything else. Trick number 1, engage e-brake when parking. You think your P-gear is enough? That's cute. I've replaced 46 shattered parking pawls. Those are the tiny metal fingers inside your transmission that lock it in place. You roll onto a hill without the e-brake, that little pal is now holding 3,500 pounds of car weight by itself. It's not a parking brake, it's a gear holder. You're abusing it, and once it snaps, say hello to a $2,800 transmission teardown, just so your car doesn't roll away next time. I don't care if your car is brand new or 20 years old. I tell every customer, e-brake on every time. Uphill, downhill, flat road, I don't care. It's called a parking brake for a reason. Set the e-brake, then shift to park, not the other way around. Now that you know how to extend your car's life with 17 brutal but proven tricks, you're way ahead of the average driver. But there's one more crucial element you need: how to spot the scams hiding in plain sight. In my next video, I'll expose 13 mechanic scams everyone falls for. Click the video on screen now and protect your wallet before your next repair turns into a robbery.